After they've baked, you're gonna score them immediately into 8 wedges. And I'm using a bench scraper. If you don't have one, that's fine. Just use a paring knife. And this is just gonna be a guideline for when you cut them. And set them aside to cool completely. And I have some here that are cooled already. So you might wanna run either a spatula or a paring knife around the edge. They're very delicate, so be nice to them. And these are beautiful. See the nice blonde color? That's what I love about these. They're so elegant. And just with a serrated knife, look how beautifully those cut. They're just pretty, and they're buttery and flaky. Be great for a little dessert. For me, the best part is that you always have the 3 ingredients to make these.
In Germany, they're called Zwieback. The classic Tuscan version is called Cantuccini. You probably know them as biscotti. And today I'm making a beautiful biscotti with pistachios and raisins. I put my 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour right in here. I like to use unbleached flour because it has a little bit more flavor and a little bit more of a rustic color. Add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 cup of pistachios, no need to chop them, and 3/4 cup of dark raisins, and then 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of coarse salt. And I just give this a quick flip using what is one of my favorite kitchen tools. This is a bench scraper that I found at the hardware store. It cost about $1.50, but I use them for a lot of things. So you just give this a nice toss, just to incorporate that sugar and the flour. And then I start to add my eggs one by one. And another tip that I have is when my batter is already made, I crack my egg into a bowl, and if you see an imperfection, just use another egg. 2 egg, and 3 egg. And these eggs all look great. Okay, so now a teaspoon of vanilla, and that's it for this recipe. And this is great because I don't have to wash a mixer at the end of this, and I can really control the way the batter is coming together. And just keep tossing it and pressing down and get that liquid dispersed evenly. Okay, and that's good enough. And I finish this by hand with a kneading motion, just kind of like you would do a bread. Scooping it up from the bottom again, turning it over on itself. And you can see the flour is coming up from the bottom. When all that flour is absorbed on the bottom, then I know it's time to transfer it to my board. Now it's time to roll them into logs. Using that bench scraper, cut it in half. And I'm just going to roll these out into a 12-inch log. It's probably about 1.5 inches round. And these biscottis are extra dry, which is a great thing. It's what you're looking for in a biscotti. That's about 12 inches. And just repeat it with that second log. Just flatten it with the palm of your hand, kind of using like that rocking motion. Now my oven's been preheated to 350 degrees and bake these for about 15 to 20 minutes until I get a little bit of golden color on the underside. Now these baked until they were nice and golden brown on the bottom, slightly pale on the top, and they're cooled completely. And they're nice and firm to the touch. So when you're cutting a biscotti, the most important thing is not to saw, but actually give it one swift motion. And you just do it on the bias, which means slightly on an angle. And what that does is give it a little bit more of a dimension. They're not just a flat cookie going straight across. Just lay them down on their sides next to each other. Now, I've lowered my temperature of my oven to 300 degrees, and they'll bake for another 15 to 20 minutes. So cool these completely on a rack when they come out of the oven before you store them in an airtight container. They'll last weeks. And as you can see, they picked up a little bit more color in the oven, and they definitely have a great snap. Crispy pistachio raisin biscotti. You're gonna love them. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.